Barristan Selmy, also known as Barristan the Bold, is a knight from House Selmy and the Lord Commander of the Kingsguard during Robert Baratheon's reign. He was a celebrated hero and served in the Kingsguard since a time when these knights were still considered to be the greatest warriors in the Seven Kingdoms. He is tall and has pale blue eyes, which some consider to be sad-looking. He is an older man with white hair and lined features. When Barristan was young, he had blonde hair, and some consider him handsome, at least for his age. Despite his advanced age, Barristan looks strong and graceful and every bit the skilled knight he was in his youth. He is taller than Jorah Mormont, but less muscular. Barristan is considered one of the most skilled and respected knights in the Seven Kingdoms, and considered to be made of true steel that marks a Kingsguard knight. Bran Stark believes him to be the greatest living knight, and according to semi-canon, he is comparable in skill to the acclaimed Sir Arthur Dayne, the Sword of the Morning. He is dutiful and gallant. Barristan dislikes tricks and scheming. Some don't consider him very cunning, but Barristan can speak some of the High Valyrian of the Free Cities. Like other members of the Kingsguard, Barristan's plate, armor, cloak, and shield are all in white. His enameled scales have silver chasings and clasps. He wields a longsword and a dagger. Early in his life, Barristan was born the first son of Sir Lionel Selmy, the Knight of Harvest Hall. He squired for Lord Manfred Swan in his youth. At the age of 10, Barristan donned the armor of a mystery knight and entered a tourney at Blackhaven. Prince Duncan Targaryen took pity on the small mystery knight, while others laughed. Duncan jousted Barristan when no one else would do it, and it was Duncan who gave Barristan his credit. Barristan received his knighthood at the age of 16 from King Aegon V Targaryen, after uphorsing Prince Duncan and Sir Duncan the Tall, the Lord Commander of the Kingsguard, at a winter tourney in King's Landing. A successful tourney knight throughout his career, Barristan also proved his worth on the battlefield. During the War of the Ninepenny Kings, Barristan slew Maelys the First Blackfyre in single combat, ending the male line of the Blackfyre family. Barristan cut a bloody path through the Golden Company to reach Maelys. The remaining members of the Band of Nine had little to no interest in conquering Westeros, and soon returned to their own domains. Barristan's deeds during the war gained him undying fame, and his name was well known throughout the Seven Kingdoms afterwards. Barristan was named to the Kingsguard at the age of 23, and swore his vows before Sir Gerald Hightower, while King Jaehaerys II bestowed the White Cloak upon him. In joining the Kingsguard, he gave up the claim to his family seat, like all Kingsguard members do, and the girl he was wed to was married to his cousin instead. During the reign of Aerys II, Barristan continued to serve in the Kingsguard after Jaehaerys died, and for Aerys II. In 277 AC, during the defiance of Duskendale, King Aerys had been held hostage inside of the town for half a year. Lord Tywin Lannister, who was Hand of the King, was planning to storm Duskendale, but Barristan offered to personally attempt to retrieve the captive Aerys himself. Tywin only gave him a day to complete this task. Disguised as a hooded beggar in the middle of the night, Barristan climbed the walls of Duskendale, scaled the walls of the Dunfort, and slew a sentry before the man could raise the alarm. Barristan freed Aerys from the dungeon and led him to the upper levels. During the escape attempt, Barristan slew 2 guards and Sir Simon Hollard, avenging the death of his sworn brother, Sir Gawain Gaunt, who had been killed by Simon. Barristan and Aerys rushed to the stables, with the knight fending off those who tried to intervene. Mounted on stolen horses, the pair charged out the Dunfort's gate and escaped through the streets of Duskendale. Barristan took an arrow to the chest during all of this. Houses Darkland and Hollard were destroyed by Aerys afterwards, but the king acquiesced to Barristan's plea to spare the life of the child Dantos Hollard. Many songs have been sung of Barristan's deeds and bravery at Duskendale. when the band of outlaws known as the Kingswood Brotherhood caused problems. The king sent his Kingsguard on campaign in the Kingswood. Barristan rescued Lady Jane Swan and her septa, and he killed the bandits' leader Sir Simon Toyne in a single combat. During a tourney at Storm's End, Barristan defeated Aerys' heir, Prince Rhaegar, in the final joust, winning the tourney. Barristan had greater difficulty keeping his vows in the later years of Aerys' reign, as the king became madder and crueler. Like his other sworn brothers of the Kingsguard, Barristan was present at the tourney of Harrenhal. He was infatuated by the beautiful lady Ashara Dane, though he knew nothing could come of his desire for her. Barristan planned on naming her Queen of Love and Beauty if he won the tournament, but the night was unhorsed by Rhaegar. The Crown Prince then crowned Lyanna Stark, setting off a chain of events that led to Robert's rebellion, and years later Barristan wonders if he could have averted the whole war if he had defeated Rhaegar in the tournament. He also fantasized that if he had won the tourney and crowned Ashara, perhaps she would have turned to him instead of Stark. He thinks of these consequences of his unspoken love as one of his many failures. During Robert's rebellion after the defeat of Lord John Connington at the Battle of the Bells, Barristan and Sir Jonathan Darry of the Kingsguard were sent to rally the remnants of the Loyalist army. Barristan fought in the Battle of the Trident, during which he was wounded by arrow, spear, and sword, while slaying a dozen friends of Lord Robert Baratheon and Ned Stark. Prince Rhaegar was killed by Robert in single combat in the Ruby Ford. After this battle, Lord Roose Bolton counseled that Barristan's throat should be cut, but Robert instead called for his own maester to attend to the knight. Because he had been wounded so badly, Barristan was not present in King's Landing when the bodies of Prince Rhaegar's children, Princess Rhaenys, and Prince Aegon, slain during the sack, were presented to Robert by Lord Tywin. Barristan later felt that if he had been present and Robert had smiled at the bodies, nothing would have stopped him from killing the man. Barristan considered seeking out Prince Viserys Targaryen, but the exile was too young to rule on his own and had already begun showing signs of Targaryen madness. Because the lives of Barristan and many others had been spared during the war by the new King Robert, Barristan instead took Robert's pardon and was named Lord Commander of the Kingsguard. Having already had reservations about Jaime due to the youth's age and inexperience, Barristan did not approve of Robert allowing Jaime to continue his service after having killed King Aerys II. Barristan was known to say that the Kingslayer's white cloak should be traded for a black one. Jeor Mormont, Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, knew Barristan when he was younger, and during Greyjoy's rebellion, Barristan led the attack on Old Wick. He has remained a formidable fighter even in his advanced years, winning the championship of a tourney at King's Landing at the age of 57 and unhorsing Sandor Clegane in a tilt in the tourney on Prince Joffrey's name day in 297 AC. Everything after that we see in Game of Thrones. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video on the ever interesting Barristan Selmy, one of the greatest fighters in Westeros.